What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Deep Digger Sports Pod. I'm your host, Drew, with my other host over there.
What's up? It's D. Good to see you again. Go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It really helps out. Go ahead and drop some comments. It's going to be a good pod because you know what? The 49ers won. We survive in advance, baby. And guess what? We also hit our diamond pick of the week. That's why it's really important for you to like and subscribe.
Yeah, guys, we made a lot of money this weekend, so make sure you subscribe because on Saturday, before the next 49ers game, we're going to give you another juicy pick to make a lot of money this playoffs.
I think it's going to be the biggest bet of the year. So I'm excited for it.
Immediate thoughts off that win. It looked a little shaky in the first half, but we pulled it together, 49ers fans. We didn't panic too much. What are your immediate thoughts off the top of your head from that win?
It was sheer panic. I don't know what you're talking about. It was sheer panic from the 49ers faithful. I know we're faithful, but like, bro, y'all were panicking. Y'all were shaking in your boots. Like I could see it. I could see it all over my timeline. Me, on the other hand, a sensible, wise older man now. I knew this team makes really good second half adjustments. I knew eventually Brock Purdy was going to settle down, gain his composure, which in the first half he did look a little shaky. He missed some throws. It was uncharacteristic from what we've seen in the past, but ended up working out. What really pissed me off, and I think was the turning point for everybody, is in the second half when Jonathan Abrams really went in and twisted Debo's leg. Everyone was pissed off, and I think that like really kind of set the tone for the rest of the entire half. Like, fuck these guys. Like, we respect them for even being here and battling it out, but like, no, you guys want to play dirty. You guys want to hit Brock Purdy late out of bounds. You guys want to twist Debo's leg. You want to hurt people. That's bullshit. So pumped for that win. I'm excited to move on to the next round.
Yeah, I think without getting into too much detail right up tops, I was like surprised with the game plan from Kyle, but I was enjoying it in the first half, despite I know we went in the first half losing, but the shots that we were taking and the plays that we were just missing, I felt really good that Kyle was being aggressive and he was willing to, throw the ball. And I even thought like, hey, Brock Purdy, he doesn't look like in his face shaken, but he's playing a little bit like his confidence is shook. But Kyle never wavered on the guy, and that really was like what helped him build that confidence in the second half to keep slinging that thing. So that's really what I liked from Kyle, is that game plan of, hey, we know we can run. I know people on Twitter were like, why aren't we running the ball? He knows he has that in his pocket. Like, he knows he has McCaffrey. He knows he has Elijah Mitchell. He knows he has Debo. But this was hey, let's establish this quarterback is a guy that can lead this team in the playoffs, and let's let him throw the ball a bunch of times to kind of prove to himself and prove to his team, like, hey, this guy can lead us. He can throw the ball.
And I mean, if you look at that first half, there was really two key mistakes that really cost the team 10 points. It was Charvarius Ward slipping up and letting DK, get that deep route for 7. And then it was Jimmie Ward actually just bonehead move hitting Geno when he didn't need to. So that cost another 3 points. So that was the difference between the first half lead and the second half blowout. But looking at the defense, they locked things down too. They ended up Diamador Lenore. What a guy. Yo, he
kept the receipts.
Yep, he had such a good second half. I'm excited for him to really be able to spread his wings and be able to showcase I have improved. You guys can't don't worry. I know every single fucking broadcast, they will be like, oh, that's Diamador Lenore. Every team picks on him. And I know he's tired of hearing that, bro. But good on you, dude. You went out there and you showed out. You got a pick. You played awesome, dude.
Yeah, really impressive. I think he gave up 16 yards or something like that, 2 catches. And he had the pick. And he looked amazing on that interception, the way he read that route and read the quarterback. So if we can get that level of play from our corners, this team is dangerous, and they are dangerous right now. We knew going in that the defense was going to be good, if not great. Supposedly Nick Bosa had 0 hurries and 0 pressures. Not the game that I saw. I thought I saw him getting in there, really forcing Geno to step up. But beside from the defense, the offense was the king story of this, was the main story. What did you see from Brock Purdy, and how are you feeling after that performance?
I actually feel really good about it. I mean, I think we see even from like the Jaguars game, it is tough for your first go around being a starting quarterback, starting an NFL playoff game. I mean, we've talked about it before. Like Brock Purdy really doesn't get shaken. Brock Purdy's played 4 years starter. He's played in big games before, but there's nothing like starting your first playoff game. Trevor Lawrence went out there and looked like it was his first playoff game and threw 4 fucking picks. Brock Purdy didn't throw any picks. He threw some. He had some plays where it looked like he was going to throw some, but he kept his composure. He stepped true to himself. He didn't try to play outside of his mind. He was stepping up in the pocket at sometimes. He does need to they need to rein it in with the deep rollout left. People are just keeping contained and they're understanding that's what probably they're going to do. So that's one thing that I would tweak if I was Kyle, and he did in the second half. But he looked awesome, dude. I mean, what more could you ask for? He threw for over 330. He had 3 touchdowns. He was fucking awesome.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people on Twitter really trying to tear him down. It's kind of frustrating because you don't want to buy into it. Maybe it's a lot of Seahawks fans. Maybe it's a lot of, I don't want to say Jimmy lovers, really trying to make sure that Brock, doesn't seem like he's real. And he's been real for all the weeks that he started. But I see a lot of people saying well, he almost threw a pick here. He almost threw a pick here. That was a bad throw, even though it connected, the Juwan Jennings one. And I think it's a lot of unwarranted criticism because it wasn't a pick. It wasn't an incompletion. He did blow out the Seahawks in the second half and we won the game. So why are we living in these hypotheticals, really, nitpicking his performance when you can, people wanted to bring up his stats all season. Look at his stats now, over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. So why are we, saying, well, he was almost bad today? And even you can look at the first half and use the same argument where he missed a lot of wide open throws. He was off. You could say, well, he almost hit those. If he would have hit those, he would have had a crazy day. He would have went for 5 touchdowns, 5 passing touchdowns, 400 yards. So I don't know. I don't like the argument of, well, it was almost a bad throw. Oh, it was almost an intercept. Well, it wasn't. This is what the playoffs are about for quarterbacks. You've seen Trevor Lawrence, first half, 4 interceptions, came back and won. And we're not over here saying oh, he's the worst quarterback ever because he threw those 4 picks. Nah, he's going to the second round. He doesn't give a fuck what your opinion is. He won at the end of the day, and Brock Purdy won at the end of the day, and he looked good doing it.
I think more than anything, what it is people made they're going to stand on the mountains of I'm a Jimmy guy, I'm a Trey guy, but at the end of the day, Brock Purdy's going to be the starting quarterback. I don't know, it's not a question in Kyle Shanahan's mind moving forward. He fucking loves this guy. He's able to dial up plays that he wasn't comfortable with Jimmy Garoppolo. He obviously wasn't comfortable with Trey Lance. And I get okay, 4 starts, cool. But at the end of the day, now Brock has how many starts under his belt, and he's looked still amazing. That has to count for something. You know what I mean? That has to show you this guy is actually pretty special. Not anyone can step in there. If we had Skylar Thompson on the team, we're not looking the same. We're not scoring more points with Skylar Thompson than with Jimmy Garoppolo. And Brock Purdy is scoring more than Jimmy Garoppolo. So it's come on, guys. What are we even talking about, bro?
Yeah, and there's a quote. Kyle came out and said that he thinks that Brock Purdy sees the game that the way Kyle Shanahan sees the game. And that's what Kyle's looking for. He's not looking. He said before, when he was looking for that Trey Lance, Josh Allen type, he wants a quarterback that can create and do crazy stuff, but he doesn't want that. He wants himself on the field. He doesn't want some veteran who's stuck in his ways. He doesn't want some young guy that's going to run all over the field and not be able to hit these simple throws. He wants a guy that runs his offense the way he would run it if he was a quarterback. And that's what he's found in Brock Purdy, not in
Well,
Trey
did you hear the
Lance.
mashup he said that he wanted at quarterback? Said he wanted a Drew Brees, and I think it was Lamar Jackson or a Josh Allen. So it's like, bro, you
Doesn't
kind of got
exist.
that with Brock Purdy here. He is a very accurate quarterback. Yeah, he needed to clean stuff up this past game. Not going to hold it against him. It was also raining too, but who am I? I'm not a quarterback analyst. I'm not like that in depth as far as his mechanics, but he looked pretty fucking good, and his stat line shows it. So
Yeah, but we've just seen the way that Kyle calls the plays for Jimmy Garoppolo, where yeah, when Jimmy's his quarterback, he's gonna say things like, "Well, I just need a guy to like manage the game and like execute what we need to execute," because that's all he has. But he doesn't believe that. And then with Trey Lance, well, I got a guy that can run the ball, run the read option, and really like do some unique things. But he doesn't want that either. We've seen that he doesn't like to run plays for these type of quarterbacks. But Brock Purdy, who can do a little bit of everything, is the perfect Kyle guy where he's like, yo, I'm going to throw the kitchen sink at this defense because this guy, I believe, can do exactly what I want to do in this offense. And sometimes it's not about the like raw talent. It's about the fit. And Kyle looks like he's loving the combo of him and Brock Purdy right now.
I mean, what else is he dialing up? A double fake screen George Kittle up the middle.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like people before like the playoffs wanted to say, "Oh, well, Jimmy and Brock stats look pretty similar. So like is he really that much better?" Watch the game because there's a difference between Jimmy's touchdowns and Brock's touchdowns. First of all, Brock was getting way more touchdowns, but when's the last time you saw Brock Purdy throw a screen that went for 70 yards and that's why he had stats?
Yeah.
That's all Jimmy's stats was Debo going off on screens or the running back on screen, Kittle on a quick screen, or like someone getting a quick slant and taking it to the house. That's all Jimmy could do. So yeah, his stats could look a little similar, but it's the way that they're getting them. Like Brock Purdy throws downfield.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. Like Purdy just is special, bro. Like I think we're witnessing him really like take over this team and being passed the mantle by the rest of the guys. Like, you're a guy, let's do it. And they're comfortable with it and they're ready to roll. And I think, not to like, say it too soon, but this is going to probably be a Super Bowl team. Like, are we safe to say that? Like, this is a Super Bowl contender.
I look around the NFC and I don't see a team that's really good right now other than the Niners. Yeah, I guess you could say the Eagles, but are they really that great?
Their defense wasn't that good.
We'll see. Jalen Hurts, I mean, jury's still out on his playoff performance. We got to see. Vikings obviously weren't real. The Cowboys, we'll see what happens today. This is coming out after the game, so we'll know if we play the Cowboys or Bucks. And I don't feel scared of either of those teams.
No, I mean, we've already beat the Bucks once. The Cowboys, with Dak Prescott, they are not as good. So it's just one of those things, like, not really. I mean, we've already beat them in playoffs last year. So I feel pretty comfortable with them actually rolling into Levi's about anyone that they'd be facing, whether it would have been the Vikings, which they got X'd out, but we would have taken them, and either the Bucks or the Cowboys. Either one of those is a pretty sweet matchup.
I wanted to see with the Brock Purdy hype. Yes, it's going crazy. Everyone in the country, LeBron James is tweeting about Brock Purdy. Like everyone is loving Brock. And I starting to see that other contingent of people trying to be like, oh, the kid's overhyped now. Like people are hyping him up. He's not that good. He plays on a great team, so obviously he looks good. I want to know, is this more of a Linsanity type situation? Or is this more of a Steph Curry type situation? Not saying talent-wise, but because like Steph was good when he was coming up, he looks relatable. Brock Purdy's a small guy. Steph was a small guy. It's very relatable to the fans, and that's kind of why they connected with him. Like, hey, that could be me. And it's really like an underdog story to where it does seem very like he's so likable to everyone. So is this like a one hit wonder kind of Linsanity thing, or is this like a he's here to stay kind of Steph Curry story?
I think personally for me, I don't think it is a Linsanity thing because it would have already been snuffed out if it was a Linsanity thing. Like the NFL plays so few games and you have such a like after 3 or 4 games, defensive coordinators try to like hone in on what you do right, especially in the playoffs. So it's like, okay, let's get him off of his game. Let's like they're throwing different things at him and he's still adapting and he's still overcoming. And 3 touchdowns, over 330 yards, like, bro, that doesn't sound like it's going to diminish anytime soon. Even if it drops down to like, okay, what does he throw for 275? That's still fucking great. He had a better game than Josh Allen did. And are we going to say like Josh Allen's trash? Like, no, we're not. Like, so it's just one of those things, bro. Like he had an amazing playoff game. And I want to say he had better stats than every quarterback that's played up until this point. We're still waiting on the Cowboys game. So I don't think this is going to be a Linsanity. I think that his game does translate to the NFL and it translates very well.
And I just want to say, if you're not from like California, if you are a fan in a different state and you haven't seen like clips of the stadium, like during the game or before or after, people are going crazy for Brock Purdy. So I can see why other people are like, hey, maybe this hype train's getting a little out of hand. It's just like people are chanting his name. People
They're
are
losing their shit,
fighting for his jerseys. I'm telling you, when we went to the game, they were sold out of his jerseys, and people were upset that they sold out of his jersey at all the team stores. All the merch is Brock Purdy outside the stadium. It is like a crazy, like he's so marketable, and that's why I compare him to Steph Curry. Like he looks like a regular guy, and
well, not only
people love that.
He has the attitude of it. It's not like, oh, he's played amazing and he's been like an asshole. Like, you know what I mean? He's just like, yeah, chill. Like, hey, you know what? I work hard and the adversity doesn't really matter because I've faced so much adversity myself and my family. Like, that's where I come from. I've seen my dad do this. Like, so he just like he seems like a genuine person. You know what I mean? And not to say like any of the other quarterbacks don't, but like, I mean, because we see it from Trey Lance. Every single time you hear about Trey Lance, he's just an awesome dude. He's just a great guy. We hear Jimmy Garoppolo that the team just loves him. So, but it's just a little different with Brock Purdy.
Yeah, the play on the field really will bring people together. Yeah, and that's the end of the story. If he keeps winning, I don't see how you could take the job away from Jimmy's not going to be back. Why would we pay Jimmy $20+ million to come in when we've seen that Brock Purdy can run this offense better than him? And even at the end of the day, say Trey does become our starter next year, like we still wouldn't want to waste that money on Jimmy G. I want it to be Brock Purdy next year, but if it was Trey, I would just hope that Jimmy G didn't come back because then we wasted money. Why are we going to have 3 quarterbacks that potentially start for us?
Bosa this offseason. So like you're going to start to see dollars are going to start to get tight, bro. Like you can only make so many players the highest position, you know, the highest paid X, the highest paid D end, the highest paid tight end. Like we can only do that so many times before it starts to like affect the rest of the cap. And like, hey, where are we going to like allocate some of these dollars? One of these guys who hasn't got a contract yet and was calling for it in the middle of the season was Jimmie Ward. Jimmie Ward did have a bonehead play during the first half, like at the end of the first half, but I think it was decided long ago when Deshaun Gibson was actually like playing out of his mind and getting all these picks. Like more than likely we could walk away from Jimmie Ward pretty easily. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, let's dig into Jimmie Ward because he's beloved by the fans. No doubt about it. He's been a guy that didn't get his respect for so long. And then to make the top 100 list and really like the fans embrace him, the league kind of embraced him in that moment to where it's like, okay, yeah, this guy is a great safety. He may not put up interception numbers, but he does so much more for this defense that we recognize he's a great player. And for Deshaun Gibson to come in off the street and play the way he's played, I'd say he played at an all-pro level this season. I know Ufunga got all the hype, and maybe it is because he is such like a more bigger name, like he's such a fun player. Gibson might have had a better season than Ufunga. I think it's arguable. And it was such a lock that even when Jimmie Ward came back healthy, you would have thought, hey, this guy who's a leader on our team, who's been a starter for years, is just going to get back in his spot.
Captain too, right?
Yeah,
Isn't he
captain. You would think he'd get his spot back, and then Gibson, hey, you were a feel-good story guy, but you got to hit the bench. Maybe you go to the nickel or we try you out somewhere. No, they didn't even hesitate. They were like, Jimmie, if you want to see the field, you're going to have to play nickel again, because he's switched around in the past early in his career. Yeah. And if we didn't have that hole in nickel, he would not be on the field. That's how good Gibson has been playing this year. And I know fans all season have been like, well, I really hope Jimmie Ward comes back. And it's been kind of this debate on Twitter, like, oh, I wonder if we'll pay him, if he'll come back. He's not coming back, guys. Like, the second he didn't replace Gibson when he came back, he was not going to be worth the money to bring him, unless he comes on a very small deal to be the backup and to be that nickel spot, which I don't think you guys want that, because everyone wants to shit on him in the nickel spot on Twitter. Everyone's complaining about how bad he is in the nickel. So why would you want him back anyways in that spot? I think he wasn't that bad.
He wasn't. He's actually been very serviceable at the nickel spot. I think he's a guy who, honestly, he's very talented. He's going to make a bag, dude. He's going to go out in free agency and he's going to make a bag and he's going to deserve it. But I think the way Tashaun Gibson is playing, we could still give him a team-friendly deal and then have Sam Womack move up into that nickel spot like we had at the beginning of the year. And Sam Womack looked pretty good, but I think because Jimmie Ward, again, was a captain, has played in this defense for so long, has played on this team for so long, you had to give him that spot. But Sam Womack is coming up. Sam Womack is going to be that nickel next year. And I don't think, if I'm Jimmie Ward, I'm not taking a team-friendly deal. I'm going to go get that bag.
Yeah, and I already see on Twitter some reports. There's been like 2 DBs the 49ers have already picked up for reserve futures contracts. So I think we have a lot of options at corner next year. If Demo Lenore still looks this good, how do you keep him from the starting spot if Emmanuel Mosley's still not 100%? And people forget we still have E-Man coming back. So Mooney Ward.
E-Man's going to be a free agent, I believe.
Yeah, but I mean, after this injury, do you think he's going to be expensive? He might come back on a 1-year, like $2 million deal.
Yeah, that's true.
Because this was the year where he was going to make that jump and get paid. So it might get pushed back another year. We get him back cheap. Ambry Thomas, it's weird because, yeah, he's been hurt. But 2 years ago at the end of the season, he was looking like a lock starter going into the next year. And he sort of fell off a cliff. And then you got Sam Womack, who you thought was going to be a lock starter going into this year after the preseason, and he's barely seen the field. But all these young guys, we just need one of them to hit on the opposite side of Mooney Ward. And then you got, like, at the safety position, if we just bring back Gibson for another year or two, we got young guys like Tariq Castro-Fields who needed a year or two to fill out and really develop. So he's been sitting back there on the practice squad. We got some other young guys.
Odom.
George Odom has looked great. He made the Pro Bowl as a special teamer. So, and then you got to figure we're going to bring in some good young safeties. We got to bring in some draft picks. So there's plenty of options in the secondary right now, and I'm liking the future of it. And is it worth paying Jimmie Ward $5 million, $4 million? I don't know. Like, I don't think it is.
I think because you are so heavily invested in your 2 linebackers, in your defensive line, there's multiple first-round picks on that D-line. You have to stay with that. You can't go out and splurge and get another high-ticket corner or another high-ticket safety. You have to just roll with these young guys who are hungry and ready to prove themselves. Mooney Ward is that high ticket person. Like, you cannot pay anyone else on that secondary because you just gave Dre Greenlaw a new contract. You're going to have to go out and pay Nick Bosa. He's going to make stupid money this offseason. So you're going to have to start really, hey, like these young guys need to step up, which Demo Lenore has looked awesome. He's going to probably, if Emmanuel Mosley doesn't come back on a team friendly deal, I think they're comfortable rolling with Diamador Lenore. If I was them, I would retain Tashawn Gibson and have him starting because him and Hufanga are already comfortable playing together. So I think that's going to be the core nucleus moving forward. And then you just have them fight it out for the nickel spot.
Yeah, as far as cap, it just doesn't make sense to bring back Jimmy when Brock Purdy is going to be making less than $1 million a year for the next 2 years. And then Trey Lance is on his rookie deal. And you could possibly, if Brock Purdy does remain the starter all next season, you could get out of Trey Lance's contract in a year.
Yeah.
And then just bring in a veteran for a cheap deal. So the quarterback room is going to be looking so cheap that these deals for like a Greenlaw, Debo's deal, Nick Bosa's deal, Ayuk's upcoming deal, all these deals are going to look amazing because your quarterback room is going to be so cheap. I just don't think right now we have the money to really waste on the secondary when our staple of our team of our defense is defensive line and linebackers. And then whoever can play above their level in the secondary, that's all we need.
Yep.
But
that's the bread and butter there is that pass rush, good linebacking core. Cornerbacks, just hold on as long as you can.
Because, I mean, be real, would you rather pay $4 million to Jimmie Ward or give $5-6 million to Amenihu to come back or Ebukam to come back?
Even Jordan Willis.
Yeah. All these guys are going to get all these guys are going to get poached. So if we can, throw a little money at one of them to at least keep some consistency on that side of the line, I'd rather do that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Let us know in the comments. Do you think Jimmie Ward should stay with the 49ers next year? All right. Moving back to the offensive side of the ball. We had a Deebo Samuel sighting in this game. Deebo has landed. Deebo stole their chain. How you feeling about our weapons on offense right now? Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Kittle, Ayuk, Elijah Mitchell, Juice.
It's looking pretty unstoppable, man. Just to see, and it was one of those things. It felt like everybody did get a touch on the ball at least, and you felt their impact. And I even think moving forward, they could use Kittle a little bit more to offset things as far as the wide receiver, but. You've seen not a lot of corners are going to be able to keep up with both Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. And then besides that, okay, your Christian McCaffrey had over 100 yards rushing. Elijah Mitchell is still fresh for the season. He is running out of his mind. He looks like a madman, dude. He is running people over. So it's really awesome to see Kyle Shanahan really get to play with everybody at full steam and knowing hey, I can go ahead and, hey, don't worry about it, Deebo. This series is going to be a Brandon Ayuk series, but we got you next go around. And everyone feels good, and it feels like they really embrace that. Look at Brandon Ayuk on that Deebo touchdown. That block, awesome. You could tell these guys really want success for the next man. It's not just about me and my stats. It's about, let me kick ass, and I know that it's going to be paid in full on the next go around. So it's really cool to see.
And that happens when you have a quarterback that can get everyone the ball.
Yeah.
But I'm loving Brandon Ayuk this year. I was a little shaky on him, I think Kyle was to start the season. But he's really turned into, I want to say, our number one receiver. Our number one downfield receiver. I know Deebo's a star. I'm not taking anything away from him, but the way Ayuk can run routes and consistently make plays downfield, the guy's looking amazing. He's definitely, this is his breakout year. He's here. Can't wait for next year where he gets to be the leader going in to the next season. Deebo, I don't know. I wasn't really expecting him to go crazy like he went this game, but he looks fully healthy. His speed with the ball is one of the fastest players in the league. Even though he's not a quote unquote fast player, it's different on the field. He is running away from guys. I think I was ready. I forgot to text you because I was so into the game, But I typed out that text where I was like, dude, the Seahawks defense looks like they're moving in slow motion, and Debo is like on another level. Like he is crazy fast, and they look like they gave up. That slant route to Debo where he takes it to 70 yards, the Seahawks defense looked like they weren't trying. They looked like they really gave up on that play.
But that's like how crazy it is. Like they have multiple guys. Like look at Kittle on the last Seahawks game. He ran that like same slant route type where he just, instead of running towards someone, he just ran straight up the middle and no one was able to catch him. Burners, bro. Burners. Look at Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey is so quick with the ball. Elijah Mitchell. Like these are all guys with breakaway speed that, one, they're not afraid of contact. And two, once they get contact, they're actually able to break through.
And I just want to say that if you watch Brock Purdy's game, I don't want to keep bringing up Brock Purdy, but it's such a crucial point with this offense that the run after the catch. Jimmie was terrible at putting the ball in spots where the receivers and tight ends can run after the catch. They're always jumping for a ball. How many times did Jimmie throwing too high? So they have to like go up crazy, or they have to make a diving catch. It's behind them. Brock Purdy always puts it in a spot where they can turn upfield and get more yards. Always. That's how like accurate, and that's why Kyle loves him. So that's really been like a key part of these guys all being able to eat, is that run after the catch.
And I think like the Christian McCaffrey trade, which like I was pushing for, as a fan, you famously did not want that to happen. You look like a loser, but whatever.
I'll admit when I'm wrong. That McCaffrey, the McCaffrey trade was pretty good. I'll give it a C- like ESPN did.
But yeah, like I think Christian McCaffrey, it really does open things up, like because you have this guy who is not only a threat to go 100 yards on the ground, but then he could come out and just run like a classic wheel route. And as the linebacker, you're not going to be able to. All right, you put your fastest linebacker on Christian McCaffrey, right? Well, then who's going to guard George Kittle? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things, like it creates such mismatches, and you have to respect the run. And with now Brock Purdy in there, it opens up the entire field because he's going to throw it downfield. So it's a tough. I really do think this is a team that has a Super Bowl run in them. And if they do, John Lynch should get GM of the year for making that trade. And Christian McCaffrey, like, I hope he has an awesome Super Bowl game, because then he'd be Super Bowl MVP. Like, you have to give him something. It's kind of bullshit that he wasn't an All-Pro, that he wasn't a Pro Bowler. Like, there was something off here. He just, for the season that he had, he deserves some recognition.
Yeah, and I want to say that trade, I think I didn't see the vision that's happening now, but now that I'm seeing it play out, not just like stylistically, Kyle's having a fucking field day. Like putting McCaffrey out wide and Debo in the backfield confuses the defense so much because you don't know who to key in on. Because then you got Kittle, you got Ayuk on the other side, and I saw him do it twice. Once they spread him out, they put McCaffrey and they put Debo in the backfield. Defense is kind of like, hey, they're still trying to figure out what do we do. Brock Purdy just QB sneaks up the middle while like they still don't know what the fuck's going on. So I'm like, oh yeah, you got all these pieces. Sometimes you don't even know like where to focus on. And then another time they did that, he just quick slant to McCaffrey because he's basically a receiver out there too. And so Kyle's having fun with these weapons, but not just that, the injuries. These guys are injury prone. Elijah Mitchell, McCaffrey, Debo, Kittle. Ayuk's been relatively healthy, but being able to spread the ball so much has really taken the load off of all of these guys. Kittle's been healthy. Debo's been relatively healthy. And yeah, for a while there, I was getting a little nervous because Kyle was riding McCaffrey so much. But now that Elijah Mitchell's back, this is a number one back. Elijah Mitchell's a starting running back in this league, and a good one. So to be able to give him like 10 carries a game, it's like, dude, he's running like his life depends on it every play because he's trying to get as much as he can out of his little bit of, production. Like at its low snap count. So
Yeah.
you being able to lean on McCaffrey or Elijah Mitchell, and then at the end of the day, we get up or like we need a certain situation. We have Ty Davis Price and Jordan Mason, like two bruising running backs. It's so like cool to see because when you like you're blowing out a team and you're kind of like, hey, I'm just gonna run the ball to run the clock and kind of take it easy on you, kind of like gentlemen's run the clock. I
Yeah,
feel like the
that doesn't
49ers,
apply.
it doesn't apply to the 49ers because us running the ball is not like taking it easy on you. That's almost the opposite. It'd be like if we throw the ball 10 times in a row to end the game, that's kind of taking it easy on you guys because you don't want us to run it down your throat.
Yeah, and another guy who doesn't get recognition, but he's in on every play almost, is Kyle Juszczyk. Kyle Juszczyk also creates so many mismatches. There's just too many diverse weapons. It's just too much for defenses at time. And so once Kyle got that, like, oh, I can actually open up the playbook. You know what? I can actually do different things. Like, we don't just have to run the same run play every single time. Like, let's do it. It's been awesome. It's been to see the full Shanahan offense at work. Thing of beauty.
Thought we'd never see it, but it's here. And it's here to stay with Brock Purdy.
Let's roll, baby.
All right, that's all we got for today. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you subscribe by next Saturday because we're going to drop that diamond pick and make some money.
All right, later, y'all.
See ya.